Who's there? Water. Water who? What a wonderful day it is today. Hello, welcome. Please come in. No one picked this, but no one is disputing the worthiness of the World Food Program as a Nobel Peace Prize winner, especially this year. In 2019, the organization helped around 100 million hungry and starving people. In 2020, the number has already expanded to around 135 million, largely because of the pandemic, and the organization warns it could expand it further. The World Food Program is being honored for its work, but also its example. The committee made it clear. It's also sending the message about the importance of countries working together to solve the really big problems. Plastic eating. Mealworms. Could mealworms be a solution to the proliferation of plastic and the environment? No, at least not alone. But if scientists can take research involving mealworms and use it to develop a large-scale method of breaking down plastics, it could be another weapon in the war against plastic waste. We all know that plastics are huge issues facing the environment, especially in the marine environment. And we are all looking for good ways in how to deal with all this plastics waste that we have. And we found that mealworms, these tiny innocuous insects, find pretty much everywhere we can eat and degrade a few different types of plastic. This is how mealworms do it. Plastic has no nutrients in it, so it's energy from breaking down the plastic polymer bonds that the mealworms are after. They do this using powerful bacteria in their gut, which breaks down the majority of plastic into nothing but hydrogen and carbon. That's really cool, because one issue that we have with plastic waste is that it's really hard to recycle multiple types of plastic together. There's all sorts of crazy chemicals used in plastic manufacturing, from stabilizers to plasticizers to flame retardants. And that's a problem because we know that some of these chemicals can be toxic. Some degraded plastics that did come out the other end of the mealworm, and flushed out with them came all the chemicals that could do harm further up the food chain. So they are not bioaccumulating. That means that these mealworms is still a variable feed source, which is great. The general point we may be to weather-dependent sources, wind, solar, that we have to be very careful about reliability. The general point actually is true, but this specific is no way an restoration of that. With the climate, it won't just to be one breakthroughs like that, the vaccine, and if you let it start to happen, instability that die off level will be way beyond the problems that we have here with the pandemic. With the pandemic, thanks goodness, the pharmaceutical industry, Pfizer, on its own, of the others with some US help did come up with a vaccine. So that now we can see the end as inside, even with the very end slowing things down. Help people understand that how serious climate change is that by mid-century, it could be just as deadly as COVID, and by 2100, 5 times as deadly. What lessons do we think we can learn from COVID that will be applicable to dealing successfully with climate change? The pandemic is a great example where we count on the government to have expertise and to prepare us even for unlikely events. Because we have the earthquakes, the government has a buildings code to minimize the damages and the death. For the pandemic, 2015's highlighting this has a huge problem that we were not at all ready for. The right steps were not taken. And then even as the pandemic came upon us, some of the expertise wasn't used. So we will be looking back at what we should have done differently. And I think this time, because of the $1 trillion of cost and huge human misery that does not even get into the economic figure, that we will make those investments and that will be great. Climate is very similar, except that sadly with climate, once you get into the problem, the coral reefs dying off and Arctic's ice being gone, we cannot reverse. We cannot reverse it. Those things are just by inventing the one things. A recent report has this grim news. 2020 is on track to be one of the world's 3 warmest years on record. The ocean, for instance, is still warming at record levels. And then in August, California's Death Valley reached a sharing 130-degree Fahrenheit. The report says that's the highest known temperature globally in at least 8 years. Now, although the air seems clearer in some areas because of the COVID lockdown, some scientists say carbon dioxide levels are at record highs and still rising.